Alright guys, welcome back to another Warframe video. In the last video, I got through what I had yet to do in Duviri, which I had thought that that's where I started, but evidently it said I did not complete the lone story yet. So I went back and completed that, had a little trial and error for the worm, but I did manage to figure it out, and you know, once you know what to do, it's really straightforward and simple, but you know, until that, you're just kind of guessing and trying new things until you get it. But nonetheless, we got through that, which should now allow me, if I were so inclined, to jump into the steel path variation of the circuit, which is probably going to be the next video I do. But today I wanted to jump into another first impression and try out another one of the ever-growing pile of frames I've yet, and that is Jade. Now, I've seen Jade being used by a lot of people in the game very successfully. I did already obviously customize Jade's look here, but I did not read through her full abilities heavily in depth because I looked at it and it sounded like this may be a little bit of a complicated frame. Maybe it's not, but just reading through it, it sounds like it. And there are specific frames that I find less enjoyable to use, even though they, you know, on paper and probably for PC players are quite good. But the way that the controls are simplified as a console player, any that have multiple different aspects from the same ability, where you can cycle through stuff, is actually really annoying to do on the controller. Because the way they have you do it, in general is, you know, I can scroll with my D-pad left to right to pick the ability, then tap the right bumper. Some abilities you have to hold the bumper and then hit the button again that, you know, is kind of bound to the ability. And then the ones where you cycle is even more annoying. It's just cumbersome to do in the middle of play. So maybe Jade is one that I am going to use. Maybe it's not. I'll figure it out once I get a little time in the saddle. But I will at least quickly kind of run through at least what the abilities say on the top. Got to run through them and see what it says. So it sounds like she should be pretty powerful. It's just a question of whether or not, as a console player, I can use her successfully. So starting off with the passive, you get 2 Aura Mod slots. Then it says some of her abilities apply judgments, and that increases enemy damage vulnerability by 50% for 10 seconds. So the first one is Light's Judgment. That is, you know, allies get healed, enemies take the judgment. So it shows you right there, damage per second is heat, then also health, 5 per second for allies that go in it. Then max Light's Judgment is 5. Says it has a 6-meter radius. I'm guessing maybe range might be important on Jade. We'll figure it out when we get in and kind of look at her setup. Symphony of Mercy, this one sounds pretty cool, but it also sounds like it's one that could be really annoying as a console player. Because cycle through 3 songs to strengthen allies. Power of 7 increases ability strength. Obviously, that could be hugely useful. Deathbringer increases weapon damage. That could obviously be hugely useful. Then Spirit of Resilience increases shield effectiveness. Also incredibly useful. Just depends on what you need in any given situation. Says you can extend the duration of the songs by eliminations that are surrounded by judgments. So Light's Judgment, and then, so 1, then 2, obviously. Then we get down to Ophanim Eyes. Jade summons an accusatory gaze, slows nearby enemies, dissolves their shields and armor. That's pretty huge. When the gaze falls upon allies, they can be revived from distance, so you don't have to get right up on them. So that's also a useful tool, but it's getting rid of shields and armor, aside from being slowed. That in particular sounds very, very strong to me. Shows you 6% slow per second. That's obviously at base ability strength. Defense reduction per second is 4. Slow caps at 90%. Angle, not sure exactly what that means. I guess I'll figure it out. Time in the saddle. Lasts for 15 seconds, has a 20-meter range, so that's pretty decent. Then we get to the 4. You can go airborne. It says use alternate fire to detonate judgments. So I don't know what that means in this instance, alternate fire. Says cause an explosion of Jade Light. Enemies inside the Light Judgment radius will empower the explosion. So the damage is 75 heat, alternate fire is 750, alternate fire radius 4 meters. We get a range multiplier of 1.5. Judgment chance is 10. Damage reduc is 20. Radius isn't that huge in and of itself, so it really does feel like range is probably going to be pretty important on this build. But that's the base kind of abilities there. So there's alternate fire on the 4, and then there's cycling through the songs on the 2 that are the 2 aspects of it that sound like it might be annoying as a controller player. But I'll figure it out when we get in there. Scroll through the tips. Enemies with judgments take additional damage. Judgments can be applied by Light's Judgment and primary fire during 4. So we can throw judgments around with 1 and non-alternate fire of 4. All right, so that's the main means that we cast the judgments. It says cast on large groups or choke points. Yeah, that makes sense. That's actually kind of how I figured. The 2 ability maintained by eliminating enemies that are affected with judgments, so make use to spread judgments far and wide. Yep, that makes sense. Next tip is defeating enemies with judgments will increase the duration of the current Symphony of Mercy aura, regardless of enemy on the squad who gets the elimination. So that's also pretty cool. Symphony of Mercy, again, this is all related to auras applied to squad mates within shared affinity range. And you can use the player list to see who's within range. That typically shows up top in my experience. Jade's current 2 aura switched while the ability is active, depending on the squad's current needs. I'm not sure how to switch through that. That's one of the things I'm going to have to figure out. Enemies leaving the effects of the Affinity Eyes gradually recover movement and speed, but they don't get back their shield or armor. That's pretty huge. They also suffer from the heat status effect when their armor or shield breaks. It can revive multiple allies at once, even at distance. I'm guessing that would get even greater if you throw in some range in here. So maybe it's strength and range might be the 2 main things to kind of mod for. Tap to recast Affinity Eyes while the ability is active to refresh duration. So that's pretty cool. Says all of Jade's abilities can be used while in 4 and will make it easier to spread judgments and affect enemies with Affinity Eyes. So that does make total sense, and it's awesome that you can cast other abilities while you're in flight. Judgments can be detonated by using the 4 ability, alternate fire, and the detonation is stronger when the enemies are within a Light's Judgment radius. So, yeah, I mean, all of it's kind of interrelated, it seems. It's a lot to remember having never used her, but I guess I'll figure it out when I get in there. So first thing first is let's open up the upgrades panel, and we'll see where we start. So she's got 2, aura mods. So the first one, squad receives energy regen and health regen. Is that the only one that I have with that? Yep, so we'll throw that in. And then she's also got one like this. So physique is the only other one I have that matches that. Or we could do health regen per second. So I could give myself and squad 20% max health or the health regen per second. I think health regen per second. That's just going to be inherently and intrinsically useful right out of the gate. So she has pretty decent health. That's not bad base shield. The armor isn't that great. Her energy isn't that great. I think where I want to start on this build is let's get energy bumped with a flow. Let's get strength. Strength, we could go up even higher. Yeah, with fortitude, that's probably going to be an important one. Let's go streamline to make stuff cost less. Stretch, because on the surface, it seems like that's probably going to be important, and that will still leave us with 9. So I can't use my transient fortitude. I only have the 1, and that's what it's modded up to. Yeah, I think I might throw that on, because her armor isn't that great, and that'll throw in some additional ability strength. And I'm sure that I have other abilities in here, other mods that I can throw on that could also add some extended range. This is what I think might be a decent place to start. That's just what I'm looking at. You know, I've got a lot of options here. There's a boatload of mods, but I think that's where I'm going to start, at least in the beginning. That's my starting mod setup. So let's check out some arcanes. I actually rather like that because of Latum. So I'm going to use that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to take Arcane Strike. Maybe this is kind of a silly setup, but I'll figure it out once I get in there and start using her. But that's where I'm at least going to start it. So I've already got the Harmony set up. I don't want to change anything on that. I don't want to change Felarx or Latum. I like that exactly where it is. And yes, of course, I do have the rest of, well, I have her bow. I don't think I have her secondary crafted yet. I probably need to go farming for some Argon crystals. But this is what we're going to start out just to test her out. I have no clue how well or not well this is going to go. I have no clue what I'm doing with Jade. So hopefully it doesn't irritate the squad while I'm in here trying to figure her out. But we're just going to hop right in to a base level Sanctuary Onslaught. I don't know how long those stay on the ground. Or how many you can have at once. Not that big of a deal. We just got to get some XP on her to get her ranked up a little bit. All right, now we've got the Symphony selected. So what happens if I just tap it once? Okay, I have no earthly clue. Oh, so you just tap the cycle. So Deathbringer, I think, is the one that gives more weapon damage. Think. Okay, now we have the third. Already knew that Harmony worked quite well. Oh, I bet you that I have to hold and then, no, because that swaps it that way. So how does this actually, I don't know how to actually use the ability, it seems. I know what it's supposed to do, but...
A new data conduit. Proceed immediately.
So you have. Or maybe it's just like a passive that's always on. Maybe it's not like an active ability, and that's not how it actually functions. Oh, she's nice and floaty, kind of like Zephyr. Be nice to get this floor unlocked so I can take to the skies. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I figured, how it would function. So it seems like having Xeneric for her is probably a pretty good thing. Alright, it's not as bad as it seemed on the surface. I just got to get used to what it is I'm doing here. That's right. Judge the masses. No, that's not gonna happen. Be judged. Okay, so it's not quite as oddball as I was expecting it to be. Definitely seems like it could be a pretty strong kit, in my opinion. Yeah, cast those judgments. Okay, Jade.
data conduit.
Yeah, okay.
Our experiment moved to a new zone.
I get it. I get it. I mean, I'm sure there's probably some finer points here that I'm not, you know, grabbing. How most that have played her a fair bit since Jade Shadows dropped have been doing. But it doesn't look quite as complicated as I was expecting. Which is kind of the same thing I said about Neja when I finally did Neja as well. And I've said the same thing about Equinox, so it makes me wonder if I should just pop in and give them a go. So I'm not sure. I guess that's primary fire. What's the alt fire? While she's in her 4. I have no idea. Okay, so yeah, she does a pretty good job at getting her abilities out to the masses, especially while she's airborne like this. Not sure what the alt fire is for her 4. I haven't figured that out yet.
Enter the conduit now. Hunter, do you think me is saddest? That I enjoy this suffering? Irrelevant. Focus on your task.
Still don't quite understand, rather have figured out yet how her alt fire works while she's airborne like this. Okay, so if you hold A, you'll go a little higher in the air. That I did just figure out. You go down a little bit with B. A little tough to say. Okay. Yeah, her... Is it clicking the stick, maybe?
A new data conduit is open. Our experiment moves to a new zone.
It's not. Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how to do her alt fire. It's not clicking the right stick. That's fine. Just trying to get the ranks, get a good idea of how she functions. Just the key one that I don't know is okay, Jade. So that's clearly primary fire, but how do I do alt fire? I have no idea, guys. Looks like left bumper lowers you from height in the air. Okay. A raises you, left bumper lowers you. Right trigger is the primary fire. Oh, well, maybe it's not a charger. Maybe alt fire is clicking the stick and I just couldn't tell. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay, yeah, so once you know what you're doing, not so bad. Okay, Jade. Oh, I really didn't want to go through that portal. That's okay. I'm in here by myself. I don't expect staying here that long. Don't go down, Jade. Don't do it. Yeah, okay, so maybe the ability strength one while I'm in the air makes the most sense because I'm not using anything other than just the abilities that I have to cast, so making them stronger. Okay, so this one probably makes the most sense. While you're in that form, Otherwise, rotate through, or it could give me a little additional shields or what have you, but I'm guessing that yeah, because that's for my ability strength. Yeah, okay. Slowly getting the hang of it. So I get how it functions now, but yeah, it is a little bit cumbersome on a controller.
This experiment will fail if your efficiency drops further.
That's okay. It doesn't matter if it does or doesn't. I'm just testing how to use a new frame, and I think I'm starting to get it.
Specimens must experience unmatched stress. Increase your effort. A new data conduit is open. Our experiment moves to a new zone.
Yeah, we're not going through it anyway. Okay, so yeah, guys, I see what's up with Jade. I get it. Oh, she's so close to max rank too. Glory max rank. So is that she has a separate thing that can be ranked up? There are a few frames like that, and let me go back into the customization. We'll have her maxed here in just a minute. Glory. There we go. Upgrade.
Excellent armaments, operator.
Oh wow!
Please
Are
return
you kidding me?
covered in blood. Safe and sound.
Jade might be OP, guys. I'm getting a very big whiff of OP here. Status chance isn't bad. What happens if we throw that on? Yeah, it's not really designed for crit. What's the status go up to with that on there? Okay, I mean, you know. What if we doubled down? What if we said target cracker for the multiplier? That's status damage, yep. Plus reload speed. I mean, it doesn't really reload per se. Status duration. Straight up just damage boost. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not really designed for crit, so I may take the crit bits off. Status chance I actually rather like having on there because it already had 20. I would have liked to see it a little higher, but I'm not mad with where it is.
Adapt to my humor?
So let's just keep looking through. Fire rate might actually be nice on this because it doesn't fire super quickly. What would that bump it up to? Wow, yeah. That's a pretty nice bump for that. Let's see. Gosh, there's still so many points left. Status chance plus toxin. That would be pretty huge. It's already got heat, so that would throw gas in. What does gas do? Yeah, I'm thinking maybe that, at least for now. It's not a bad place to leave it. So, yeah. A lot of points available there. It automatically has a potato in it. That's kind of nuts. This is probably going to feel even better when I hop back in for that final level. Let's just pop in and see what happens, guys. This frame seems like maybe it's a little nutty, and I'm sure that this is not an optimized setup. As always, guys, definitely if you have some suggestions for me, throw it down in the comments. I'd like to think I was on the right path by adding range into it. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe there's something else that makes more sense. But I feel like that is probably a decent one that I picked. We'll see. I might go into the harder difficulty one. Let's just try it. Solo Elite Onslaught. Let's see what happens. Okay, so yeah, Jade actually hits pretty hard here now. Definitely could hit harder. Yeah. I mean, I'm in an elite by myself right now while I'm just kind of mucking about.
I have gathered enough data on that ability. Use another tactic. Data conduit is open. Go now.
Okay, well, we'll make it through one.
Hurry, Hunter. The conduit is closing fast.
This could hit harder, but it's not bad. Actually, yeah, when you judge them and then pull the alt, I mean, that actually hits okay. That hits okay. It's no problem. I just wanted to pop in to see what it was like without somebody in there. Did the elite version by myself on a frame. I've played all of 10 minutes. Not mad about it, guys. So, yeah. This is one that I think I'm going to have to practice with a little bit. As I suspected, the controls are a little bit wonky on the Xbox. It'll just take getting used to it. You know, the more complicated frames, there's only so many buttons on a controller. So, frankly, to their credit, they do a very good job of kind of accessibility for how to do it. It's just there's not that many great options at their disposal for how to do all the intricate details that are involved in some of the, you know, less just, oh, pick that one, tap it, pick that one, tap it. Those are the straightforward ones. Those that have a little more going on with their toolkit, it just does take a little bit more time getting comfortable with them and kind of jumping in to see exactly how it's going to shake out. But yeah, either way, guys, my big takeaway on Jade is, yeah, this is a pretty fun frame. I could see it being very useful for the team. Obviously, I've seen what a lot of people have done with it. I'm sure that there's better ways to set this up, that there's probably some mods that would be really great on her that I'm missing. But my first impression is it definitely has potential. It just may take a little more time in the saddle as an Xbox player versus PC, just because there's only so many buttons. There's only so many ways they can map it to have it still be useful for somebody jumping in to play. But either way, got to test out another new frame, and this one, yeah, it is quite fun. I could see it being useful, and the times I've played with, a Jade in the squad, it's gone quite well. So a pretty cool kit. It's just going to take a bit more time in the saddle, probably some tweaks to the build, but my takeaway is I liked it. My first impression, yeah, gets a thumbs up from me. So yeah, guys, that's it. Short and sweet today. Just another first impression of a frame that I hadn't used yet. And next video, we're going to be back at the grind. Don't know exactly what I have in store. Got some background work to go. May have some new rank ups with some new syndicates or factions or what have you. But then we're going to be back at it. Still working heavily on our Kavya standing upgrade. That's my primary, so that I can try to have another means of getting some additional Archon shards. That is the ultimate goal every week. So, yeah, fun one today, guys. Don't know exactly what's coming up around the corner, but that is going to do it for today. As always, guys, I do appreciate you checking in, and we will catch you on the next one.